then we're going to make Python define happiness. Trust me, it's going to feel really bad. Let's see, even machines can't answer one of the toughest questions of philosophy about happiness. One single definition about happiness from Python. Let's see introduction. Keep watching. So let's start the technical breakdown step by step. So my core purpose of this video is about technical and philosophical concepts merging together and presenting to you. So in this one, I have created a list of, different quotes from different, like thinkers and philosophers. So it's about data setup. So the first step is about creating a small handcrafted data set of human definitions about happiness. So based on that, we would be actually, drawing a complete universal definition of happiness from this data set. So each sentence reflects a different perspective, like emotional, philosophical, materialistic, etc. The second step is about vectorizing the text. So what is vectorizing? So in this way, we are converting the textual or the strings to numbers or values that could be understood by machine in modeling. So we are using the concept or the methodology of TD-ITF, like that is term frequency inverse document frequency. In this one, we are converting each sentence into a numeric vector based on how important each word in a sentence relative to all other words. So it's more of a relative mechanism that we are following. So for example, in a data set, we got a word called love. So love is one of the common words that's been, included in this list data. So love is very common. So it can have a low weight in comparison to absence, which is having a heavier weight because of rare occurrence into the list. So it's all about each sentence become multidimensional vector space when we deal with it. So the third step is about PCA or principal component analysis or dimensionality reduction. In this way, we are using the vectors that have many dimensions, like for one each word, we are having multiple dimensions. So we reduce them to two dimensions using PCA. So PCA is an algorithm that is being used to reduce the dimensionality of particular entity or word in machine learning. So PCA finds the most informative directions in the data so you can visualize and cluster better. So that's what we are doing up here. As you can see that we are using the PCA component analysis for doing the same. And after that, we are doing clustering. So what is clustering? So K-means try to group different definitions into n clusters, like n number of clusters, based on proximity in reduced space. That is, like, for example, if we choose n equal to 3, so we are having 3 clusters, and we assume that there are 3 main types of categories or 3 main types of definition into the data set. And based on that, each cluster could get a centroid, the average definition of vector space. So that's the calculation which we know in K means clustering. Then we are doing the universal definition stuff. So it's about finding the actual universal definition of happiness. So we calculate the global centroid. As you can see that we are calculating the centroid up here. So this is the part that we are doing. And in this way, we are basically averaging all of the different definitions since we have converted the words into vectors. And so we are now able to do the average of different mathematical operations into these vectors. Then you can find the universal definition that we are trying to, get out of this code is definition closest to the centroid. So centroid is the main, point of reference for us. In Python, best guesses for our universal definition. So for us, from Python thinks that the point or the value closest to the centroid is the actual universal definition of, the happiness. So the definition blends ideas from different clusters, but doesn't fully represent any one cluster of meaning. So now talking about the failure part or the con or disadvantages of this complete cycle. So what is happening is, so you will see for the first cluster, it could be about it could be about relationship or love. For the second cluster, it could be about self-contentment. Like different clusters is representing different traits or different adjectives. All in all. Cluster 3 could be about philosophy or spiritual peace. So if I talk about, or rather my purpose was about finding the universal definition that we end up being vague and unsatisfying because we are having multiple things. We are not able to withdraw or get single universal definition that we can rely upon. So what is happening is the universal definition ends up being vague and unsatisfying due to the following reasons. The first reason is about semantic conflict. The second is about dimensional collapse. The third is about subjectivity. So these three factors is actually hindering us or creating a problem to find a universal definition. Let's see in detail what is happening. So for semantic conflict, different clusters have fundamentally different concepts of happiness. That's one thing. Like each cluster have its own set of rules and regulations. So it's really tough for, like averaging all of the clusters together for a single purpose driven definition of happiness. That's not the case. Second point is about dimensional collapse. So reducing many human concepts into a single point nuance loses the actual nuance that we are doing, right? So when we are doing the dimensional collapse, like reducing it, so happiness is not, like inherently non-universal. So averaging dilutes the meaning, ultimately the meaning gets diluted. So that's subjectivity. Like happiness is very, very, like very subjective to each and every person. So how we can define it on a more universal level. So technically, if I talk about the algorithm or the logic that we have written is perfectly fine, doing the job as we have instructed it to do, but our assumption that a single mathematical centroid or algorithm or a function can capture complex, subjective human concept, that's flawed, that's absurd, that's not possible. So in short, the code is showing us a hidden truth about machine learning can cluster, summarize ideas, and deeply subjective and multidimensional, like happiness, or like average definition of meaningless. All of that is it's not a bug in Python. Rather, I would say that this is an expectation of objectivity or a subjective truth. So that's not pretty much possible as of now from Python. So that's about what I just want to, like portray out of this video. So this video is not just technical, rather a philosophical talk with technical concepts included. So I hope that you have liked. Rather, I always prefer Blackboard with chart to explain concepts and ideas like I did in my previous videos, but just trying out to, like capture the screen and do a voiceover with you guys. So if you have enjoyed it, tell me in the comments what kind of video you want in the future, and also about what else you want to watch from my side, and what else concepts. Like I'm having multiple things to like H2O machine learning, liquid neural networks, and all of that. So if you want these kind of videos, keep me like updated about these concepts, and for sure I'm going to make it for you. So I hope you enjoyed it. So topic could be any, video subject could be any, but one thing is never going to change, but that is you are nothing, he's everything. Khuda Hafiz.